What's that? In the car? Alright, partner. He wants to talk to you out here. Is that all you're... Yeah. You got... I'll watch it for you. He's alright. I got babies. Oh, you got a dog too? Hell. I'll make sure they're alright. I got babies too, man. Huh? Okay. Shit! Hey! Shit! I'm hit! John, put on your rifle!
Hey guys, Radio Hernandez here. Haven't been on here for a while, but it's good to be back. I've been getting a few requests regarding tactical breakdowns of, officer-involved shootings or just, incidents that are, that could potentially be of a value as far as education for our professions, depending if you're, on the public or private side. Anywho, with these videos, I wanted to kind of make a disclaimer. This is coming from a learning perspective. This in no way is knocking some of the officers, deputies, or agents involved in the incidents. With that being said, we want to take from this video and we want to come at it from a learning perspective, which is, we want to take from it so that we can learn, what was done good, what was done bad, what could have been done better. And all of this obviously is to, add to our toolbox. So heaven forbid, if you guys are ever involved in a similar situation, you may have a, better tactic or better outcome. But yeah, other than that, guys, like I said, this is strictly for learning purpose, educational purposes, and let me know in the comments below your feedback or whatever have you. But other than that, let's jump right into our first video.
The video I'm about to show you was captured by the dash camera in the vehicle of Deputy Brian Potters, who was the second deputy to arrive on scene in an effort to assist Deputy Tyler Toman during the traffic stop. The segment of the video I'm going to show you tonight begins immediately prior to the time of the ambush and captures the entire incident that involved a total of 61 rounds being fired within a minute. As I said, the video is graphic in nature and not only captures video of the incident, but the audio of all involved as well. Again, the entire ambush and response by our deputies takes place within a minute and sadly captures what our deputies and law enforcement officers from across the country potentially face every day of their lives.
What's that? In the car? Alright, partner. He wants to talk to you out here. Is that all you're... Yeah. You got... I'll watch it for you. He's alright. I got babies. Oh, you got a dog too? Hell. I'll make sure they're alright. I got babies too, man. Huh? Okay. Shit! Hey! Shit! I'm hit! John, put on your rifle!
Well, all right. Yeah, I just needed a second to kind of process that. Yeah, that mag dump. Yeah, interesting. So let's see. Now, one of the things that I've noticed just from the opening scene, if you will, of this video, you kind of have three separate things going on. You have the deputy on the left talking to a subject with their arms crossed. You have another subject at the rear of the vehicle that was pulled over, and then you have another deputy, the one to the right, that is by the champagne colored car, that is, obviously interacting there. So one of the things that first comes to mind is, cover and contact, in regards to, your cover officer, your contact officer. There's a lot of stuff going on here. And I understand they're probably investigating, which is fine, but it looks like there's still people inside the vehicle. And I just kind of personally feel uncomfortable with this situation. If I am going to, talk to people, I want to pat them down, put them in a specific area, and call them out to me instead of having, my partner over by, the vehicle, a subject between my partner and I. Well, two subjects between my partner and I, because if I get in a fight, he attacks him. It's just, there's a lot going on. And that right off the bat, I'm kind of uncomfortable with. Like I said, again, I wasn't there. I don't know the full, details of the incident, but right off the bat, that's something where if I'm able to control as much of the environment as we can, and that's one of the things that I remember through some of my experiences, my training and whatnot was, time is on our side. It's like we can take to an extent, our time, and whatever factors we can control, we want to control. So with that being said, with this in particular, I kind of right off the bat feel uncomfortable with, everybody kind of being everywhere. There's no control of the subjects. If the guy in the red shorts, I don't know if he's been pat down or not, can he pull out a knife and, start going at the deputy that's right by the window? Anyway, so moving on to the next point. So obviously the deputy at the car door wants the person in the back seat to come out. Obviously we want to watch people's hands. I'm sure he's watching people's the gentleman's hands. I would assume that he is, but that's one of the big things. We want to watch people's hands. Yeah, like I said, I think right off the bat, if we were to somehow be able to control the situation where in a perfect world, I'd call one at a time, whether it's, both of us walk up to the car. Hey, we pull out the driver gets patted down, gets put in an area, passenger gets put in an area, but we have, the officers in control as far as you have your cover and contact. If we have that, if we have that deputy that's over there, it's like, hey, one of the things that I was big on, and it was through training and through just experiences and practice was, hey, I want to know where your hands are, because this is what's going to, hurt you. This is what's going to kill you. This is what's going to reach for guns, knives, and whatever have you. So that's what I want to watch for. So I'm big on that. So like, let's suppose if in a perfect world, I was able to control these subjects. I had, patted them down off to their curb, feet, legs kicked out, ankles crossed, hands on their knees, and I have a cover officer behind them, kind of keeping an eye on them, keeping an eye on the street, and, watching my back. If I want to go ahead and pull this guy out, I'm kind of, standing in a position of advantage where I'm outside of the car, he's inside of the car. There is an infant in the car. But one of the things that I would probably say is, I want to see those hands. It's like I would probably ask him, hey, can you do me a favor? Go ahead and put your hands on the headrest. Yeah, just keep them on your lap, just for our safety. It's like, no, I'm not saying you have anything, but just for our safety. That may give you that extra second that you need to create more distance or to get that, reactionary time gap that you may need to make a decision to, the OODA loop, if you guys are familiar, to, observe, orient, decide, and then act. If I got that one right, I think I did. Anywho, but yeah, so just like I said, little things, if I were to pull traffic on this vehicle, what I would want to happen in a perfect world. In that event, we're controlling the subject's hands. We're asking him, hey, can you do me a favor? Can you put your hands on the headrest real quick? Because if you do that, whether he is, kind of hanging on to the weapon in between his legs or whatever it is, he has to then expose himself. And now, by default, him being in the car, you have a bit of a barrier there where you have a bit of protection and you have that reactionary time. And then if you had those two subjects controlled, and obviously in this incident, those two subjects, they did not engage in the fight, but heaven forbid, what if even just one of them had a knife or had a gun and they joined the fight? Like I said, it was bad already. It would have been that much worse. So, like I said, if I would have had the subjects, in a sense, controlled, off to the curb, with my partner behind them, covering them, and, watching my back, if I then tell the subject, hey, do me a favor, put your hands on the headrest, or, you know, put your hands on your lap, you know, just open palm on your lap. You control, and it seems very silly, but you control that. You have that if you can control that in your world, like I said, it would make a big difference in my opinion. Can he obviously still reach for a gun? Of course. But if he makes any sudden movement, you know, that should send out alarm bells, be like, hey, what's going on? And then, hey, partner, you know, you start, you know, creating distance, drawing your weapon at a low ready or whatever have you, and everybody's kind of on alert, your partner and you. And if that guy is reaching for a gun, so and he's, you know, going to turn, you have the advantage of that reactionary time, that reactionary gap, the space. And like I said, by default, if he's inside the vehicle, you have a little bit of a barrier. He still has to come out of that vehicle. Obviously, do we want to get into shooting there with the infant there? No, but we would want to create distance to where we have a better advantage. We have cover, and if he pops out of the car, we have clear shot, then we go ahead and take it. But anyways, quick break on that. And this is where everything goes to shit. Whether it looks like the suspect opens the door quick, and he already has a gun out. Deputy, you know, identifies it, freaks out, and then he starts to move. Yeah, you see, and the bad guy's coming out ready to go. Looks like he's holding looks like an AR pistol in his left hand, where, you know, whether he's left-handed or right-handed, it doesn't matter. But from a bad guy perspective, giving credit when credit is due, he's coming out ready to shoot, if that makes sense. If he was on the driver's side of in the back seat, would he have came out with the right hand? And like I said, he's coming out ready to shoot. Now that hand, where was that pistol? Was it between his legs? Where was it? Where were his hands? Me personally, I would ask, hey, can you do me a favor? Keep your hands on your lap. I want to see your hands. That's what I want to see. Anyways, if you could see, he goes with his left, takes a shot, and then he transitions. Let's see if I caught that right. Yeah, so it takes about 1 or 2 shots with his left hand when he comes out, like I said, because if he has it in his right hand, he has to turn the weapon facing the front of the car all the way towards the back of the deputy. So obviously if he uses his left hand, what does he have to do? All he has to do, he's literally coming out, if his pistol's pointing this way, boom, boom. Like I said, a bad guy, you gotta watch out for these things. The same way good guys train, some of these bad guys, they train, whether it's because of experience or whatever it is, but you got to keep an eye out for that. And like I said, that's one thing that I see with this bad guy. And then if you look at the video, he transitions his hand to his right because he's probably a right-handed shooter. But you see, this to me is like a step above just a basic bad guy, if you will. Again, good job on the deputies retrieving to cover, which is behind the patrol vehicle. I believe a lot of academies, that's what they teach. Bad guy, like I said, giving credit when credit is due, he goes to the front of the vehicle and he's using his vehicle as cover. He exposes himself a little bit too much. I think that's when he gets hit in the leg by the initial deputy that made contact with him. It looks like that's where he gets hit. And remember, guys, just because you shoot a suspect does not mean he is out of the fight, and vice versa. Just because you get hit, heaven forbid, does not mean that you are out of the fight and that the bad guy is done. Remember, it's a continuous thing right off the bat, and this is a life and death situation in this particular incident. But moving forward, so as you can see, subject looks like he's going to run, but he's hit. And I'm assuming both deputies are behind the patrol vehicle, and they lost sight of him at one point. Like I said, this bad guy has either practiced, trained, or has put thought into this type of attack before, where he knows they're in back of the vehicle. And what is he doing? Did he stop, turn around, and run? Initially, it looked like that's what he was going to do, but he charged forward. And what did he do? He came, he went towards the rear of the vehicle, and I don't think either of the deputies saw that. Let's see. So as you can see, it looks like both the deputies now are facing forward of the vehicle, and they lost sight of the guy. They did not see that he went around. One of the things I wanted to point out, luckily this younger looking deputy was crouched down, because if you look closely, it almost looks like, you know, the first deputy could have taken some rounds. And obviously the situation's chaotic. There's a lot going on. There's an active person, you know, there's an active killer trying to take their life. So there's a lot going on, and thankfully that younger looking deputy had kept his head down. Check out that shot. You see, obviously there's about a foot, but it looks like he's in his crossfire and not knocking on the deputy, anything like that. But it's just, like I said, the realities of chaotic situations, of life and death situations, where, you know, you get tunnel vision and whatnot. This deputy's shooting at air, or shooting towards the vehicle, because he believed that where I left the bad guy, where I last saw him, that's where he is. And like I said, the younger deputy, I'm not sure if he saw the suspect go around the vehicle, but he's looking over there, thankfully, you know, and it would be good to practice communicating that to the partner, yelling it out. It's like, partner, he's on the side, or whatever it is. But that's what it looks like here. But like I said, two things. One, I'm not sure if it was communicated by the younger deputy that he sees the suspect coming around, and two, the older deputy looks like he's shooting just over the gentleman's head, and he's shooting at air because he thinks that's where I last left the bad guy. That's where he's at. Again, see, completely blindsides him because he had no clue that he was right, you know, went around the vehicle. That would have been a real bad day. One, if I believe from reading some of the information, the suspect's gun either malfunctioned or ran out of ammo, but that's why he pistol whips him with his AR pistol. But yeah, it's a scary situation, and it looks like the younger deputy takes one shot at the suspect, and then we're gonna see right here, drops his magazine. Yeah, magazine falls. In my understanding, that the younger deputy now runs around the second cruiser to get cover. Suspect was actively trying to kill the deputy. And obviously, thankfully, the second deputy was able to reload and drop the suspect, from what it looks like. So, anyways, going over, I guess, just a review of some of the pointers, some of the takeaways from here. One, if I could control my environment and any factors that I have control over, I'm going to take control over it. And what do I mean by that? Where the vehicle is pulled over, where I position my vehicle, whether I, advise people or yell at people to get back in the vehicle or whatever it is, I could control all these little factors. If people start to not comply, or people start to, act kind of weird, fidgety or whatnot, that should, bing, like a little, guard dog, what's it called? Put up sound off the alarm bell should be sounding off. Sorry, guys. But yeah, that should send alarms off, as far as to be at a heightened state of awareness. We should always be at a heightened state either way. But like I said, those should be some red flags of what I like to call pre-incident indicators. So I want to control the factors. I want to be able to control my environment and control any factors that I have control over. So where I pull traffic, as far as where I place people when I pull them out of the vehicle, I don't want them just hanging out all over the place. If I want them, having their hands in the back of the trunk, that's fine, but have them all there. But I want to have a cover and contact officer, because do we have to talk to that subject that's in the back seat right at this moment? Do we have to? You know, maybe not. We could go ahead and, you know, talk to the first subject that we're talking to, and then be like, okay, now let me call out this person and talk to them, or whatever it is. But that's one of the things I want to be able to control my environment. The second thing is hands. Well, always hands. That should be a given. We want to watch people's hands, you know, as best we can. If we're talking to someone in a vehicle, we want to tell them, hey, can you do me a favor? But you just put your hands on your lap. Like I said, nowadays are things a bit more difficult just because of the whole political correctness, the whole optics, as they keep saying. Maybe, but like I said, I'm looking at this from the perspective of what is going to keep me safe. What is going to keep me safe? What is going to keep them safe? What is going to keep the community safe? So that's what I'm looking at as far as best practices. I'm not looking at political correctness. I'm not looking at optics or whatever it is. And could I be wrong? 100% I could be wrong. But I'm talking about it from a learning perspective and from, you know, Rudy's world. If I'm able to, you know, conduct myself in a professional manner and stick to parameters of best practices, that's what I'm going to do. I'm not going to work outside those parameters. I'm going to work in this you know, box, so to speak, but to the best of my ability, and disregarding any politics, disregarding any political correctness, disregarding any optics or whatever it is. Anyways, moving on. So, controlling environment, hands, and communication. You know, like I said, could this have been prevented? I don't know. I mean, if the bad guy is, you know, my understanding was had like 23 felonies, 17 misdemeanors. Obviously, I think he was on bail for 2 felony narcotics, you know, charges or whatever it is, and he had a, you know, a rifle on him. So it's like, this guy's, you know, I would say career criminal in my opinion. And so with that being said, could this shooting have been prevented? I can't say, you know, unfortunately I don't have a crystal ball, but heaven forbid if you find yourself in a situation where you are pulling traffic, you know, use some of these pointers as far as control your environment, control the people, don't have them all over. Make sure you have your cover and contact officer, and make sure you guys are watching those hands, because that's what's going to grab for knives, guns, and try to kill you. Anyways, guys, other than that, I think that's it. As always, I appreciate you. Thank you, and stay safe.
Patrick Swayze's just robbed this bank. Keanu Reeves is chasing him through people's gardens. And he goes to shoot Swayze, but he can't because he loves him so much. And he's firing his gun up in the air. He's like, oh. Have you ever fired your gun up in the air and gone, ah?
No, I have not ever fired my gun up in the air and gone, ah.